Hello, friends. How are you today? Well, I'm really excited to be here with you today and talk about the Schumann Resonance. And I'm talking with you in person today, in part because I burned my hand again. This is the second time I burned my hand. And so I thought that it would just be a lot easier if I recorded instead of did all the work and the charts and everything, because all the images and everything that I do, it really requires a lot of work and a lot of hand typing at the computer with my hands. So I'm going to give you an insight on self-healing after I talk about the Schumann energies that were on the chart today. I thought it was really interesting because if you look at the space observing system Schumann Resonance chart, what you see for the last 3 days is that the energy has returned. It's been horizontal in green. Green, the colors represent the different resonance ranges. So green includes the what I define as a reflection of it's a reflection of the general state of humanity. That's from observing the chart for a long time. That's what I've kind of come to. And so, of course, there can be communications or other things on the chart, but it's very common that natural energy will overshine any kind of technical energy. So it's interesting because as I record this on Friday, March 31st, the very horizontal energy in green has once again disappeared. And the last time that this happened, which was just a few days ago, and I talked about it in my last video, then there was a wave of energy, that very unusual wave that occurred. So we'll see what happens this time. So tomorrow morning when we wake up, let's see what's going on the chart. But it stopped again. So it's very interesting. The thing that I thought was the most interesting, and I'll put links to the chart down below so you can take a look, but the thing that was the most interesting to me is that there was an X-class flare on the 29th, so on Wednesday. And it's very interesting because around that X-class flare, it occurred on the chart at 10:33 a.m. on March 29th, on Wednesday, in Tomsk, which is the location that the chart's generated. And so that X-class flare has 2 verticals around it, and they're very natural-looking verticals. And there was a very, very prominent vertical that actually occurred 3 to 4 hours before the X-class flare. So what did that do? It's really interesting. It makes me wonder if the sun's not emitting something prior to the X-class flare that would pick up. And the reason I say that is because a vertical line of white resonance highlighted the chart at 13 hertz for hours after. And then about 5 hours after the X-class flare, vertically and horizontally, there was a whole light up of white resonance across the Schumann hertz range. That includes human low beta brainwaves, alpha brainwaves, delta brainwaves, and I think it's theta brainwaves. So literally, there was a light up across our basic thinking, observational states, subconscious, or like I like to call it, the dream time, which we can access with skills in the waking state, in my view. And I say that because I know how to access it, and I do access it, and I can see it in others. So I'm not the only one that knows how to do that. And the really fascinating thing was that there was a light up in the very low, like I'd say maybe 2-3 hertz area. And that's interesting because that's really, from a brainwave perspective, that's an unconscious state of being. So we're waking up, okay? And it's almost like, I mean, it's very directly prominent after the X-class flare. Now, what's interesting is then over the next 2 days on the chart, the energy came back and came back. You know, we'll see how this plays out. Does it mean that something's building? I'm not sure. I think something else might be building if that's the case, because it looks like the energy is coming off because there's less and less white resonance. But then today there was this really solid vertical line with that repeating energy. So we'll see what this means. It's very exciting to follow, isn't it? I think it's very, very interesting. And I wanted to tell you what happened behind the scenes because I looked at the data charts as well. And here's what I really noticed, that from the time of the X-class flare, the green frequencies really rose. And they peaked in the chart at 26.5. And what I've told you guys before is that anything over 25.2 is becomes very powerful, in my view, for humanity, where we are feeling more confident in our power. I've described that many times, so I'm not going to go into the why today. But coincidentally, today, 2 days later, green qualities, which is the clearness, right? The clearness of our expression in the world as living human beings. I'm interpreting that from a layperson's point of view. Like if green represents humanity on the space observing system chart, in my view, that's what it does represent. And I am a living human being. When do I get more clear, more present, more fully capable and confident? As qualities rise up, in my view, that is how our expression changes. We get more and more and more of who we truly are. So we had 2 spikes today. Okay, so this is the flare day, Thursday, and then today. So this is now 3 days of the flare energy. And we get 2 spikes up to traditional highs in quality. Because before the whole pandemic era of the last 3 years, green used to spike to 31 all the time. And that's where it was for twice today. So I've said this in my past video, and I said it on my Substack in the article on this, that it's like the human heartbeat is restarting. It's like the paddles got out. Someone got the paddles out and went to us. And I think it's the divine, you know, the cosmic forces, including the sun's energy, etc. I see them as representative of, they're representative of creation, their creation's effect on us. And if God created the universe, if God created Earth, if God created the heavens and stars and our star, then it's God's will that emanates through all those things. So it really works to look at things that way, because over time, proving it out, I've proved it out in my own life. The world around us changes, and our ability to create changes in very good ways when we shift our focus to honoring the divine. So let me just take a look and see if I got all my notes here. I read through everything. Yeah. That's the chart today. Okay, now this is what I want to do. I want to give you some inspiration based upon what I just said about divinity's got our back on this. It's like that force that created us never leaves us. Okay, and I want to talk about that more in a minute, but first, what I want to do is I want to show you something. Okay, so this is the power of working with divine will through you and coming to and learning an understanding of energy in human form. I told you that I burned my hand yesterday. I can be a little spacey in the kitchen, let's just say that, okay? So I was grooving on the energy. I was probably writing something in my head or whatever. And I like to cook, and I had superheated up a pot. And this time it wasn't cast iron. This time it was a regular, with a Teflon base pan. So it was a thinner pan. So it heated very quickly. But then I just changed what I was doing. I thought that I would use one of the cast iron pots. So I decided that, of course, if I'm not using this pot anymore, I would just put it away without without thinking that it was superheated. Anyway, so what happened was I picked up the pot, and then with my hand, I just grabbed the actual pot to just shove it under the cabinet, which is when I burned my hand. Okay, it literally had just come off of the flame and had been superheated. Now, the reason I want to show you this, first of all, if you get a burn, you should seek medical attention. That's the first thing I want to say. Okay, so talk to your doctor, get actual medical advice. Now, what I'm going to say is, from an energetic standpoint, I pray on these things, and I know when I need to see a doctor or not in this particular instance. And I knew that I had the first aid training to be able to take care of it. So I did my, medical first aid at home. And I also worked with energy. And I want to show you something. Here is my hand that's not burned. Here is my hand that was burned yesterday. Okay. Do you see a difference? It was a pretty good burn, right? When you understand how to work with energy, how to decline offers, how the divine blueprint underlies all that is, and you honor divinity, and you honor yourself as a living soul with divine authority nested within this human form. And you practice align with divine will within, align with divine will within, align with divine will within. And you practice communing with your soul. You practice receiving spiritual guidance, whether it's in prayer, whether it's in meditation, whether it's through doing energy work and movement in the human energy field, which includes the body. Miracles can happen. Okay, so my hand is still tender. It's still tender. But it does not look like it was burned, does it? So this is what I'm saying. These concepts that we are discussing are important, and they are a part of the new age. They are a part of the new human understanding that we will have going forward. And there are many of us teaching these concepts, but they are real, they are tangible, and they truly do affect the human being in the human form. But they require our individual participation. They require your desire to truly understand the concepts, and then they require a willingness. And in my meditation, it's meditation 2 in the Livestream playlist, and it's the most recent meditation video. And I will be doing a meditation video again live. I will be doing a meditation this Tuesday. So that would be April 4th, 4/4. So come join me. You can meditate with me. We ground our energy. We get ready for the day. We align with divinity within. And then if you have questions, we can do that. We can talk about Q&A. So So this is what I want to do. I want to say something else inspiring. But before I do that, can I ask you guys, can you please share my content? And some of you have contacted me about Facebook and joining Facebook, and I did get back on Facebook, and then I joined some Facebook groups like y'all suggested to me, and I immediately, within 1 week, I had my account is restricted 3 times. Okay. So it's not working for me to join other people's groups on Facebook, and it's not working for me to share in groups on Facebook. But if you guys do it, that might be different. I just think that I'm like a stranger in a strange land there. You know what I'm saying? So if you want to share my content, it would be nice of you to do that, and let's see how it goes. So, yeah, so thank you for doing that. I wanted to say that I feel like humanity is on the verge of making a comeback. Why do I say that? We got beat down. I mean, we got beat down the last 3 years, okay? But we've gotten beaten down for much longer than that. And rather than focusing on all of that, I want to focus on the positive, and I want to focus on the uplifting. And that is, and I'm looking at my notes here. God's world works together for our good and supports us. Especially when we declare it, and we declare that darkness will be turned to light. We declare that our challenges will be turned to our highest good. Believing in God and aligning with the divinity that you are, the living soul in human form that you are. It doesn't mean that life is going to be easier. But in my view, it means that when I go through hardship or challenge, I know that there's support for me. I know that I'm supported. I know that God's got my back. And look at this. I mean, the X-class flare comes out, and, on the Schumann Resonance, as I mentioned earlier, the green responded. And, red just didn't have the power. Red representing the lower forces, our lower emotions. It just, can't match the power. And the reason why is because the living human being is where the soul resides. And so the soul is the creative source for the human. Now, I was talking with my girlfriend about this today, and we were talking about this is a story for another day, so I won't go into the details, but we were talking about the archonic world, which is another way of talking about the parasitic world energetically. Okay. And I do believe that energetic parasites are tied with real world parasites, for example, that can be in the human form, right? Humans, like other animals, mammals, can have parasites. I do not consent to that in my body or my energy field. And what she was saying was, divinity attracts parasites, because what I was saying was, and this is a story, okay? I was saying that this is the second time I talked about this today. Now is the third. What really has shocked me in the past 3 years, and I live in a place where there are a lot of people who, prior to the pandemic, all considered themselves very enlightened. Okay. They're all peace, love, and, all this stuff. I'm laughing because of how much it changed during the last 3 years. And it was shocking to me. Where was the peace? Where was the love? And what the shock was realizing that probably minimum 80% of people were faking it. And they were only doing it for literal social credit. They were only doing it because it was in. They were only doing it because it was a popular thing to say. And they really didn't mean it. And, it's not relegated to any particular label. It's not relegated, this approach, to any particular part of the political spectrum. It's not relegated to a particular religion or any other kind of expression, in my view. This is something about human beings. And I think that if we want to see our world improve, if we want to see our country improve, and I live in the United States of America, and I dearly wish to see our country improve. I think it's up to us as individuals to recover that within ourselves first, to teach it to the next generation, and to live it in a way that models this for others, and to mean it, to mean it. And by that, I mean that if you say something, you actually do believe it, and then you're willing to change your life for it. I mean, I lost my job before, I'm not trying to put myself up on any kind of thing, but anyway, I made videos about that at the time. So I think that when you follow the higher path, when you take the high road, it's always going to be more challenging. It's the high road. Okay, it's uphill, right? It's uphill. It comes with the challenges for anyone who takes this path, who takes the high road path. And we're all also human beings. I make mistakes all the time. I just pray about it. And when I make a mistake, especially between me and my spiritual guidance, between me and my own soul, between me and God, it's really interesting. Sometimes I just want to hold it against myself and not look at God, and I'm not turn towards God if I know I had the direction to do something and then I didn't do it. And I was praying about this recently, and what I got was, turn towards me. It's you. This was what this was what this divine said to me. It's you that are turning away. And I forgive you, and lift yourself up. Like, lift yourself up to me, be with me. In lifting ourselves up, that's when we take ourselves out of the range of parasitic behavior. And I think that's part of the challenge, right? It's part of the challenge of reclaiming our birthright as divine humans, as living divine human beings in human form. And I said this on a video recently. I'll repeat it because someone said it was really helpful for them to think about it this way. I'm sure that I've been an angel. Okay. So that just, being an angel, it's like an infinite existence. But being a human being it's precious. It's temporary, right? I mean, we're here for a set amount of time. God gifts us, our soul gifts us this beautiful life in this physical form. This physical form is what lets me build in the physical world. It's what lets me talk to you, right? Through my throat, through using my brain, my lungs, everything about my body is helping me make this video to talk to you. It's what lets me hug someone. And there's a lot of fun stuff about being in physical form. And so my wish is to elevate the experience of physical form and in being human, and to align being human with God's will in this form. And the line that occurs to me is, what would Jesus do? Well, Jesus said, this you will do and more. And what was he? People say he was God in form, right? He said, this you will do in form. He presented in form, and he aligned one-to-one with the divinity that he came from, that he was. Well, he said, this you will do and more. So what does that say about our capability as humans? That we could get closer and closer and closer and closer to the God principle within ourselves that made us, that is the living soul that we are in human form, the living spark of the living God, right? That is our soul, and I believe powers the life force of human form. It's so amazing, isn't it? And the age of Aquarius, right? Pluto just moved into Aquarius. I feel that this is what this is about. We're going to spend Pluto in Aquarius exploring these concepts, okay? And it's going to go in and out of Aquarius, back and forth for another couple years. And then we're going to be, bam, fully focused on it. And and then when Pluto goes into Aries, I guess we're going to really, be cooking. Really, it'll be rolling out in a big way. All the new stuff that we create and think about in this next 20 years, right? That Pluto's in Aquarius. What an exciting time to be alive. What an exciting time to learn about energy, and what an exciting time to claim my divinity in my human form, to claim my divine expression as a living human being, right? One to one in human form, because miracles are created.